Welcome to my series, where I try to tell Skyrim like it was written in a book, or told in a TV series, with not just one main character who is all of a sudden the Dragonborn, but many different characters, most of which, well, all of which, but one, are not the Dragonborn. This story will be played by many different characters of all different sorts of backstories, and all different combat roles and personalities. I hope you come to enjoy watching this sort of stuff as much as I enjoy making it and playing it. If you guys enjoy, please leave a like, and subscribe if you want. And of course, if you're feeling a bit chatty, drop me a comment and it'll be fun to have a conversation. Anyway, I'm going to let you get to this. Have fun.
Chapter 12. The Jagged Crown. My name is Senturos Empire, and after the almost failed mission to capture this fort, I was stationed here. It's not so bad. I've become somewhat of a legend among the other troops. And it's all deserved. I did stand toe-to-toe with an Imperial vanguard against a horde of bandits. And this vanguard happened to be a Tullius. Ever since I was a boy, I've wanted to join the Imperial vanguard, the most elite of the Imperial Legion, the front line, enough to bring courage to the most scared of soldiers and fear to the most fearless of enemies. I even changed my first name to Senturos after the vanguard's founder. His name was Senturos Tharn. He created the vanguard to aid the Emperor Varan Aquilarios in taking back the Imperial throne from the Longhouse Empire. All that was in the Second Era. And the vanguard still serve today. From my understanding, Senturos Tharn was killed in the Imperial city during some Daedric invasion all the way back then. Legend tells he survived and became some hero called the Vestige who fought and defeated Molag Bal. Where the saying goes, no enemy is fearless in front of the vanguard. Even Molag has his tail between his legs. But that's hardly believable, since his body was found serving Manimarco when the Imperial city was cleared of Daedra. Why did I take Senturos' name? Well, I was born to a whore. The potion they take to stop any sort of baby failed. And I came along. Her name was Camilla Gavianis. She worked as a prostitute at the brothel in the Imperial city docks. And there I grew until I was 5 years old, when my mother fell pregnant again. She had a baby girl, but died shortly after giving birth. I only got to meet my sister once before she was taken away. I was sold to the Legion by the brothel's matron. So I grew up in the Legion. I would spend my early years cleaning boots, serving food, sharpening swords. As I got older, I would train how to fight. I would exceed in that training. I could always read my opponent. One of the legionaries who taught me said I had the makings of an Imperial vanguard. That was where my dream of being one became a thing. Where I found out about Senturos Tharn and so on. When I was 17, I was sent to Skyrim a few years before Ulfric's Stormcloak returned. I'm now 28, and ever since then Skyrim has been at boiling point waiting to explode. And I feel that point is now. Within days, I feel that Skyrim will be in a full-scale civil war. My life was about to take a massive leap. Something that day made me feel weird. Like I was being drawn into the light of a dark cave. For some reason, I could not help myself, as I stood there staring at some fort in the distance. But I was torn away from my gaze by another soldier who had handed me orders to go to Solitude and talk with General Tullis himself. A million things ran through my mind. What could the general want with me? Was it because of his niece? Was I getting rewarded for not letting her die? If not, what could be so important that I was called to Solitude during a cold night? Couldn't this wait until the morning? I mean, it's an honor to be summoned by the general. But the only place I wanted to be during a night in Skyrim was around a fire. But orders are orders, and good soldiers follow orders. It was as dark as oblivion and cold. I had to follow the lamps, or I would have ended up a corpse lost in the woods. But through the darkness and the cold, I found my way to Solitude. It was time to find out if I was being promoted or dismissed from the Legion.
So what? Ulfric gets this crown and then suddenly he's High King?
No, it's not as simple as that. But the Jagged Crown would be a potent symbol for his cause to rally around. But if we found it first...
And we gave it to Ellison.
In the absence of the moot, it would further legitimize her claim.
Perhaps. I'm entrusting you with what resources I can spare. But I'm warning you. If this turns out to be a waste of time and men,
It won't be a waste.
make sure you take the auxiliary here. You can send him back when you get there and find nothing but old bones and cobwebs.
The Stone Fist's no fool. He's found the crown, but we'll get to it first. Welcome to the Legion, Auxiliary. Listen up. Ulfric's right-hand man, Galmar Stonefist, has located what he believes is the final resting place of the Jagged Crown. We're going to make sure he doesn't get his hands on it. The rest of my men are already assembling outside Corvinju. I'll meet you there as soon as I finish up here.
No sleep for the wicked, I guess. Another long march through the wet and cold. I was given a task by the General himself. This had to be some kind of test. I was given command of a squad, and I was off to find this Jagged Crown.
Listen up, Legionnaires. Those Stormcloaks are here for the same reason we are. Ulfric, the Pretender, wants that crown, but we're not going to let him have it. I realize some of you may know men on the other side, but remember this. They are the enemy now, and will not hesitate to end your lives either. General Tullius is counting on us to bring back the Jagged Crown, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's show these rebels what real soldiers look like.
My father was a legionnaire, and this before him. I guess I never considered doing anything else.
I've fought many rebels in my time in Skyrim, but those were small bands hit-and-run tactics. They were starting to group and fight more defensively. Of the last month, there has been more rebel attacks and larger banners passing into our territory. Not to mention their armor has been more uniform. They have better equipment now. It matters not. I will see victory for the Empire and cut down any of her enemies. It doesn't matter how good their gear is. These savages don't stand a chance against Imperial soldiers.
Underestimate the Stormcloaks. Many are Legion veterans. They may be traitors, but they know how to fight. We have the advantage of surprise this time. Don't expect it to last. Let's move out.
These Nord ruins were not for the living. Fighting Stormcloaks is one thing, but fighting an enemy that fears nothing and doesn't feel pain or dies, that's another. But nonetheless, I had a job to do. The only thing stopping me from my duty would be death. But before death takes me, I need to find out what happened to my sister. I was about to send money off to Cyrodiil to find out what happened to my baby sister before I was sent with Marillia Tullius. I had found out that my sister was taken by a young, wealthy Imperial couple. That had only just lost their own child during birth. At least they had money and took her as their own. Her life would have been good. Something is telling me I shouldn't interfere, but I'd like to know what happened to her, and who she has become. That will have to wait. I first have to make it out of this war alive, and earn enough septums to pay to track her down.
Focus on our primary mission. We're searching for the crown.
Damn Stormcloak rebels.
Good job. Move out.
Don't like the looks of this.
All right, Legionnaires. Spread out and see what we've got. Auxiliary, do what you do best. See if you can find some way to get that gate open. All right, let's move, men. We've got more.
They don't train legionnaires how to fight the undead. There's really no way to train somebody to fight a walking corpse that doesn't feel pain or fear. But no matter the enemy, the Legion will face it down, for that's what we are trained to do. To stand united against those that would harm the Empire.
The crown should be around here somewhere. Spread out. Keep your eyes open.
Hey, I found the crown on this corpse. Is this the one we're looking
We found the crown. but it was guarded by its most powerful undead. They could scream at you and push you to the ground. The Nords called it the Thum.
Alright, get the crown off that drugger.
What the rebels like to forget is that the Empire's what's keeping the Dominion out of Skyrim.
And see if we can find anything else that could be of use.
I was given orders to return the crown to Solitude. It was just me and my squad. Getting back would be the issue. The Jarl of Whiterun didn't allow any Imperial or Stormcloak soldiers to enter his lands. We had to go around into Stormcloak territory. The Stormcloaks watched their borders very closely. Most Imperial patrols that got too close to the eastern line never came back. So heading into their land could have been the smartest or dumbest thing I had ever done. I thought they'd be looking for an Imperial squad trying to sneak through Whiterun's outskirts. They won't look for me behind their own lines. To get through, we were to take on a full fort of rebels, or a lowly band of scum. Bandits were the easy choice. They were untrained and less of a risk. We cut them down with ease. While we were there, we found 2 girls caged half naked out in the cold. We would clear out the bandits and check on their prisoners. The redhead was a young farmer who was captured by these scum. The Redguard was a bounty hunter caught trying to kill their leader. It was no good to leave them there to freeze, so we took them along. All my years here, I've never gone this deep into Skyrim. We were told to not get close since they would attack any patrols in sight, and that the Empire wanted to find peace with time. But these rebel Nords are like their lands. Savage and cold. All they wanted was war, and if they wanted one, I was more than happy to give them one. These ice picks for brains wouldn't know what hit them. Though many brave Nords fight for the Empire in Skyrim, they know the benefit of being part of the Empire. They guard our north and we guard their south. We even won the war because of the Nords. If it wasn't for them, all of Tamriel would be controlled by the elves. Now these rebels risk Tamriel falling into the hands of these power-hungry Altmer again. Even if they could win, they wouldn't be able to hold off the Dominion, plus the new troops it's absorbed from the Empire. Now we have to burn this rebellion down before the next war with the Aldmeri Dominion. We made it back to Solitude. By this time it had been around 30 hours of no sleep. I was just happy for this to be over and go to sleep. The girls were now free and could get back to their lives. It felt good to finally save lives instead of taking them. It was time to hand this crown off.
Excellent work, soldier. I have to admit, I had my doubts it even existed. Did you run into any trouble? Yes. Well, I didn't respond as quickly to the legate's suggestion as perhaps I should. But at least we ended up with a damn crown. Well then, repeat after me. Upon my honor, I do swear undying loyalty to the Emperor Titus Meade II. And unwavering obedience to the officers of his great empire. May those above judge me, and those below take me, if I fail in my duty. Long live the Emperor, long live the Empire.
I was promoted and given command of Northwatch Keep, the very keep that drew all my attention to it. It was a Thalmor prison, but the rebels snuck behind our lines and slaughtered them and freed all the prisoners. They finally did something good. The elves thought they were safe hiding behind us. Now I have to guard this boring post. So much for the promotion. I'll miss the war here. The young Nord girl Serdi decided to join the Legion, so she would never be scared and captured again. So I would turn her from a scared, frightened girl into a strong legionary. I would make sure all under my command were worthy to be called legionaries.
Now I want to keep this outro short. It's actually finally good to finally get to my main character, because all of us Elder Scrolls players or Bethesda players, we always make 2 different kinds of characters. The ones we want to play and the ones that we want to be played as us. this was my played as us, Senturos Empire. I made him an Imperial because I enjoyed Oblivion, and again, Oblivion was my first game, so it was always going to be heart of the Empire sort of character, and more of nostalgia. And it's good to finally get him. No longer is he the Dragonborn. He's always been the Dragonborn for me, for like, what, 9 years playing the game. And it's just it's the way I've always wanted to play it. I've never actually ever finished a story, either due to mods playing up or the game crashing. I've gotten pretty close, so I had a very long save, but it's finally good to be here. There's a couple Easter eggs to MXR mods with Camilla, and of course Star Wars: The Clone Wars. If you like them, you'll notice that, but it's finally good to be here. The Imperial Vanguard stuff, by the way, with Centaurus Tharn is actually my ESO character. I imagine to be like an elite soldier, that like really elite Imperial armor, high level gear, that he was a soldier of the Empire. When the shit went crazy, they were celebrating, and he had to go and fight and save people, and they got to the bridge to get people out, but it was crushed by a Titan, and they fought until they were exhausted, and they were locked up and carted off to the prison and executed by Menamarco with a knife in the chest, and then the game starts pretty much, where you wake up in Cold Harbor. That's where I got that from. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm going to get out of your hair, and yeah, not really much else to say. Thanks for watching.